Sat Sri Akal Ji, Jianu. Welcome to another episode of You Are Not Alone. This week we've got a special guest on. He's well known to majority of you. He's known worldwide. He's known very well in the UK, known in the industry, in the music industry. His name is DJ Ranjit Bains from Midland Boys. Welcome to the show, Ranjit.
Harvey.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, buddy.
Yeah?
We're back.
We're back, yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
The reason I've called you back on this show, you're coming on to your 6th year of being sober.
Yeah, 6 years, 24th of February.
Which is a major achievement.
Yeah, it is. It is in terms of sobriety, but as me and you know, it's still early.
It is very, very early.
It's still early. A day is big to an alcoholic.
It is.
But in terms of like sobriety, 6 years, we're still in recovery.
Every day.
Every single day.
Every single day,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Every day is a challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, different things happen to you. You get bad news, good news, whatever news you have, it affects you.
Mm-hmm.
What coping mechanisms have you used that you could help others out there who are at the moment suffering, or they've come out from recovery into a wide world where now they're actually having to face reality?
What's worked for me for the past 6 years is the 12 steps. The daily inventory, which is, I now do it in my thought process. I used to write things. I occasionally do still write things down. If I've had a really bad day of resentment or, you know, fear, anger, and then I tend to write things down. But generally, I follow the principles of the 12 steps, which I'm no doubt you will explain in further episodes how that works. And you know how that works. And that formula's worked for me. But second to that is avoidance. You know, lifestyle change, which is you've got no choice. You have to give up, you know, your circle of social life, friends, some family, and some might say you become a selfish individual.
You have to be a selfish.
But we have to remain sober. Yeah. Because it's either that or we die.
It's quite simple. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known you now for maybe over 25 years.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and we both never knew that either of us had got the same problem.
No, we didn't. No, and
it was a case
we
of...
wouldn't have, Harvey. You know, we
were too deep in it.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, we thought we were normal. I mean, to me, if I was to meet you, or we'd sit around a table, it's like the old saying, the only thing we had in common at the time was the drink.
The drink.
And that was the only thing. And the avoidance part, again, I've, you know, stopped going to a lot of the places that I used to go to.
Yeah.
People have even commented, the only answer I can give to that is that the only thing I had in common there was the alcoholism.
It was alcoholism, yeah.
So what is the point of going back to the same place?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, on a daily basis now, like you're on about things like resentment, anger, avoidance is the best thing. I mean, I find myself, you know, even social media and stuff like that, if somebody's got something to say to you or they've got something bad to say, avoidance is the best thing. Total ignorance to it.
Yeah.
Ignore it.
Ignore it. Switch off.
Yeah. Because what is the number one killer for an alcoholic?
Resentment.
Resentment.
Yeah.
And hate. Yeah. Now, you've also, since you became sober, have done a degree.
Yeah. A big wow. I left school with no qualifications, only kind of like musical aspects of which eventually went on to my career. But anything educational, I didn't achieve anything until I got sober, and then my daughter came to live with me in 2011. And I didn't want to be that dad who was just watching the school run kind of thing. She was still at high school then. So I enrolled into Wolverhampton University in a music production course, sound production. It wasn't easy. A degree never is. And and I graduated in 2014 with a Bachelor of Honours degree in sound production.
That's sobriety for you.
It is, and the only, again, it's because I was sober. I was living this healthier lifestyle that I was able to, get up, go to university, go to my lectures, finish my assignments, and complete that degree.
And how has your relationship changed with your family since you've
my parents and myself now phenomenal. I wouldn't say me and my parents we've always had that relationship, that bond was father and son or mother and son, but there was always that element of the anger. I would always be angry around my parents because of my drink. I don't do that no more, and my parents seen a big difference in my personality, and I can sit with them, I can speak with them, and I can say, I can speak on their behalf and say that they're very proud. Not just the fact that I've got sober, I've got myself a degree, I'm a very homely person, I'm a father to 3 children who adore me, and I think that brings smiles to my parents' face. So and they couldn't be any more proud or happier to see their son alive and doing this well as I am.
Well, the AA 12-step program, following that on a daily basis, is key.
It's key.
It's key.
Yeah.
I mean, for the viewers watching at the moment who aren't familiar with it, if you want to email in on the email address that's on your screens at the moment, if you ever want to speak to Ranjit, I'm sure, if anybody ever wanted to speak to you,
I'm on all social media. We can.
You can talk to Ranjit. You can speak to myself. You've got a telephone number on your screen as well. Email in. We're here to help. We're here to help and give solutions, rehabilitation solutions. Akal Channel has done this show in accordance with Alcohol and Beyond, so that we can help you to help not just yourselves, help others, your family members, your loved ones, people around you, people that, the denial part. In our culture we've got this problem, but we really, really need to address this. ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹੋ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਤੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ. Do you agree with that, Rand?
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about this before, Harvey. There's an alcoholic in probably every kind of like wider family in the Punjabi community. In denial, drinks excessively, doesn't think he or she's got a problem, but we see the signs as now we're sober that person has or she's got a problem. But like we spoke about this before. How can we approach them and say, I think you've got a problem, until they admit that they are an alcoholic or a drug addict? They
need to be able to turn around and say to us, or say to you, or say to their individuals or their loved ones, look, enough's enough, I need to admit that I've got a problem.
Absolutely, which is step one.
That is any time. We have a lot of viewers who call in and they talk about their sons, their daughters, fathers, uncles, nephews. Until these people actually admit that they've got a problem, there is no way of helping anybody. Because like Ranjit has said, we were in denial for years. We thought we were in complete control.
I always thought I had it under control. Even when I didn't have it under control, I would convince everybody that I was under control.
That's
because it's lies and manipulation.
It's nature of the beast.
It is, absolutely.
It is. It's cunning and baffling, and you have been through, obviously, your 6 years of sobriety, and you've done, coming up to your 6 years of sobriety, it is a really, really, a big, it is a milestone, but it's on a daily basis. I've known people who've been sober for 6 months, 12 months, they've relapsed, but they've got back and they've started again. Never give up is what I always say to people. We live in a culture and in a society where if somebody has some form of a relapse or they have something, they get labelled again. And that doesn't help people.
No.
You go to AA meetings, you hear about it. Are there any AA birthdays? Are there any You know,
Mhm.
celebrate it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
This is something that we've got to teach our culture. Also, the other thing I was going to ask you was that the help that you got through this rehabilitation centre.
Mm.
How long were you in there?
Probably 2 months, 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months.
Yeah. The detox part of it was about a week and a half to stop the shakes, the physical part of my addiction.
Yeah.
But then the mental obsession and the spiritual part of it was taught to us. We was taught this program of the 12 steps, which took some doing, because we're so used to giving orders and commands, not taking them.
Yeah.
And having to become absolute, just
Under the control of
someone else, being told what to do, how to do it, regardless. It was the big book, the Alcoholics Anonymous book. It was tough. It wasn't an easy challenge at all.
So which step would you say you found the hardest? I mean, I'll be honest with you, I found step 4. Step 4 was the be all the be all and end all.
I personally would say step 9. The truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amends.
Yeah.
The people that hurt.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not going to make amends to that. At first you're attacking.
Yeah.
Even though I was sober, but my thought process was like, no, I'm not going to make amends with that person or he or she. But ultimately we have to.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to go for a commercial break. We'll be back after this short break, and we're going to hear Ranjit's life story of exactly what he went through. Be back in a moment.
My name is Ranjit Singh Bains. I was born here in Birmingham, UK, England, and I just want to share my story of addiction and how it evolved, how it started. I was born in a traditional Punjabi family in the 70s in Handsworth, Birmingham. Had a great upbringing. There's no faults with my parents, fantastic family. My dad was a musician, so basically he had a Asian band, Navpreet group. So basically I used to go with my dad to the functions they used to attend, and as you know, in Asian functions, Punjabi weddings, etc., there's the drinks always flowing. So a lot of the band members they'd drink, and I'd sneak and drink with them. At first they wasn't aware of it, the group members, so I'd have a couple of sips of their beer and stuff, and as the more I went with them, they allowed me to have like half a pint. I mean, this is probably when I was about 10, 11, 12 years old, and by the time I was kind of like 12, 13, I started going with the band on a regular, and the drink was, I was drinking, not excessively, I wasn't getting drunk, but I was getting a fair bit little tipsy and stuff, and so that's basically how my musical career started as well. At school I was very ambitious with my music, and one of my music teachers introduced me to the disco, the DJ element of it, which I automatically, it was me. That was how I wanted to pursue my musical career. I mean, I did play instruments and stuff, but the DJing part of it really kind of grasped me, and I thought, right, okay, I want to go for this. And so 13, 14 years old at school, I started doing school discos, and eventually it turned out I started doing Punjabi Bhangra, started doing all my family functions. By the time I was kind of like 16, 17, I was drinking in clubs, pubs. My mum and dad, in my teens, they was already kind of concerned. So I remember once my dad asked my cha-cha to take me for a pint up in Albury at the Merivale. I was 16 years old. I think I was still at school, and the landlord of the pub, he knew I was underage. So we walked in and he said, well, he has to wait outside. So I waited outside in the car, and my cha-cha bought me a pint, and and he had a pint, and then my chacha bought me half a pint, and I knocked that back, and I said to my chacha, and half is nothing to me, and then his eyes were open like, wow, okay, he's 16 and he's on to like a couple of pints kind of thing. But little did he know, I was drinking like whiskey, vodka, Bacardi, in my school dinner times and stuff. So by the time I was kind of like 18, 19 years old, left school, went on to like college, I was drinking, I wouldn't say excessively, but I was drinking more than what the teenagers around me were. I met a girl, we got married at 19, Asian formalities kind of thing, we was courting, and we ended up getting married. So most of my teens up to my 20s was kind of like experimenting with drink. Would you say what I was happy with drinking? My DJing career kind of like really took off in my early 20s, mid 20s. The company I formed was Midland Boys, and we released an album in the early 90s. My brother was a very passionate drummer, and he joined all the great bands of that time, Pradesi, Jazzy B. I was touring with them, and obviously DJing myself, and the drink was flowing. Call it an occupational hazard, that's what I'd like to call it, because the drink is free and it is hazardous because you're there all the time, it's ready and available. It became routine for me to drink when I arrived at the venue. During the show, I couldn't call it Dutch courage. I couldn't pick up the mic without having a drink, and eventually that got so it wasn't random. It was just every show was drink fueled. I don't think I ever did a show without drink. Except one New Year's Eve where I totally remained sober. That was going back, I can't remember the date, the exact date, but it just got, the drink just got excessive. My family, my wife at the time said that I had a problem, but I was just so much in denial. No, it's under control. I haven't got a problem, I haven't got any issues. Everybody drinks. Inevitably, my marriage was going to fail. Yes, it takes two to fail, but I'd like to put a big factor of it that I was drinking. Who's going to stick around with somebody who's going to be drinking 24/7, and he's not got time for his spouse and family. I had kids, I had a daughter with my first marriage. It still didn't stop me from drinking. Then with my last partner, the one I have children with, we was together for 6 years, and the drink really excelled. I went through depression, through my first divorce. I tried to go into kind of like help centres in West Bromwich. I went to my doctor. My doctor kind of like shrugged me off, telling me that I didn't really have a problem. Whereas I kind of knew. I never admitted it to my parents or loved ones, but I thought a doctor could be someone who you could confidentially talk about the issue. But when I told my doctor that, I'm drinking probably like 10 pints a night, he did say that is a lot, but at the same time he kind of like still shrugged me off, kind of saying you're still young yet, you're vibrant, and just try and reduce it. But the signs were there within me that I was suffering. My health wasn't very, it was really bad. I mean, I smoked. I don't anymore. I'll come to that a little later on. Generally, I was out of breath all the time. The drink. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was on the road. I was gigging, so the drink was free then. Monday, Tuesday was my recovery days, and when I'd get up, I'd have a drink, and then I used to class my Wednesday and Thursday as my Saturday and Sunday. So that was my social kind of circle, my social life, where I'd go back on the drink again. So it was just a vicious cycle every week. This routine of drink revolved around my job. I'd so much look forward to the weekend, knowing that the drink was going to be free. I was going to do what I was passionate about, which was my DJing, and then get absolutely out of my face. And so 2008, I'm not ashamed to admit this now. Somebody introduced me to cocaine. Now, I was very anti-drugs up until then. I don't think I ever did much drugs throughout my teens or 20s or anything. In fact, if anybody did do it around me, I was very kind of like, I wouldn't say aggressive, but I was very against it. Especially on the road show. If anybody joined my road show and I had a hint that they was taking drugs, I would automatically sack them or have words with them that they're not allowed to do that whilst under the Midland Boys banner. So yeah, in 2008, somebody introduced me to cocaine, and automatically I was hooked. The drink and the drugs went hand in hand. I would say that my drink consumption tripled when I started drugs. Within a space of a year, up to 2009, I was at my body had kind of like taken its toll basically, and June of 2009, my youngest daughter was born. I was literally on death's door. At the end of that year, 2009, my partner at that time, my children's mother, she left. She left because, there was no hope in me. I don't blame her. It was a horrible time for her to witness, and and my children were very young at the time. I never really drank around my children. I had a few beers, but when they'd all go to sleep, that's when my heavy drinking would start. But it was around December 2009 that I really hit rock bottom. I was at home on my own with four walls, no children, no partner, and really dying. My business had suffered because I was unable to get to answer my phone because I was constantly drunk and high, and I really needed help. And I'd tried over the years of like home detoxes, which to no avail. It didn't help. I might have been sober, a week after the detox, but inevitably I drank again. I'll give you one example. I used to buy non-alcoholic beer to convince my partner that I was drinking non-alcoholic beer, but I'd also buy Budweiser, the normal Budweiser, and put that in the garage and drink the non-alcoholic, and then go in the garage, fill it up with Budweiser. So my partner would think, oh yeah, I'm very proud of him, he's drinking non-alcoholic, but I was drinking normal beer. So the lies, the manipulation, it was all revolved around my drink, and that's what we become. Alcoholics become the most compulsory liars. That we can twist anything, we can convince anybody that we're not doing wrong, but we are. Deep down we know we are. So 2009, I tried to myself try and get help with my Dharam was Sikhism. I'm Punjabi. I still am Punjabi. I went to a Gurdwara and just to kind of like ask for answers to God. God, what's happening here? And I'd smelt of liquor from the night before. I didn't drink on that morning, and I was refused help. I was told to leave, which really set me back. It kind of like it left questions. And shortly after, I contacted a family member who I'd heard in the grapevine that had got sober, and he'd basically was an alcoholic and a drug addict myself, but we hadn't spoken for many years. And he said that to come to a church with him. So I went to a church, and I was drunk. The members of the church openly invited me in and said, we'd like to pray for you, and we guarantee that you will stop drinking. And I thought, wow, guarantee is a big word. People make promises, but promises can be broken. But guarantees, it's massive to me. And so with help and support through my cousin and a few church members, my mum and dad, they seeked a kind of like a detox program. But at that same time, in that kind of January month of 2010, the doctor had given me 6 months to a year to live, because my liver was it was rotten. I was literally on a thread, and it's a day I'll never forget, which is the 17th of January 2010. It was my daughter's birthday, my oldest daughter's birthday. I had the children that morning, and the children had left. My son stayed behind. He was 4, I think he just turned 5 then. He wanted to spend time with his dad. He hadn't seen his dad for a little while, because obviously his mum had left, kind of thing. And I felt something inside me shake, and I managed to get to my phone. I phoned my parents. I says, Mum, Dad, you need to come, because I don't feel right. My parents arrived, and I was told this afterwards. My son was on top of me saying, Baba, Daddy doesn't wake up. I'd literally gone. The ambulance was called. The only recollection I have is me waking up in hospital with my dad crying, and his words were, "Son, you'd gone." And no son ever wants to see his father broken like that. And I begged my father that day. I said, Dad, please help me, because I can't do this on my own. It breaks me just thinking about it now. And that was the 17th of January. So a couple of weeks after that, I kept attending this church. I kept asking God, please help me, because there was just no other, I was just lost. And then on the 24th of February, which will be in a couple of weeks' time, as I'm making this interview, I went into rehab, and I successfully got clean, my body got detoxed, and I went on a spiritual program, which I still follow today, and I've been sober nearly 6 years. My life has changed dramatically, and I'm just very blessed and happy to be alive.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਟੂ ਦ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਪਾਰਟ। ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਦੀ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਦੇਖੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਥਾਣੀ ਇਹ ਲੰਘ ਚੁੱਕਾ, ਜੋ ਇਹਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ, ਜੋ ਇਹਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਥਾਣੀ ਕੀਤਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਆਪਣੀ ਅੱਖੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਸੁਣਿਆ। I mean, Ranjit, you've tried everything, didn't you?
Absolutely everything. In my interview, I didn't mention, even my parents tried spiritual healers, wear this ring or put that necklace on, and, do jara here or somewhere, it just never worked. It never worked. It was never going to work, in my opinion, until I started this spiritual program. I'd reached, as you know, Harvey, when we're in that drink, we think it's a paradise. But I like to go back now and say it is a paradise, but it's the devil's paradise.
Yeah.
Because an alcoholic will see death.
Yeah.
Unless he or she gets help.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is the devil's paradise, because there's no end to that bowl, that beer. It's horrible.
It is basically poison. Yeah. It is the only legal drug out there.
Yeah.
That is killing people.
It's the devil's blood.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to discuss with you is, with this detoxification, did you go through your GP to get that, or did it?
Over the years, coming up to 2010, my GP allocated me this clinic in West Bromwich, who the lady came to my house. I had a home detox, which was taking, I think it was Librium, throughout a course of 7 days. She'd come in the morning. That would stop my shakes, and then I think I'd had a tablet in the night. After 7 days, I was sober. Your body is, it's clear of any mind-altering substances. But then it was the
underlying issue,
which was why I am like that. That within probably a week, as I said in my interview, within a week or 2 weeks, I was drinking again, but drinking non-alcoholic beer, convincing my partner I was drinking that, but really I was drinking,
absolutely.
top shelf.
I did exactly the same thing throughout probably the same similar sort of period that you did it, and it was like you said, the amends, step 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The underlying issue. We have this thing in our head that's the size of a football, that we've made that big, but actually it's only the size of a golf ball. Absolutely. In other people's hands.
Yeah.
But alcoholics, because we are nice, kind, genuine, straightforward people,
normal.
Yeah, we can't cope with. Our minds are different to your average Joe, who can sort of have anger, have resentment. These traits we can't have.
No.
We can't keep them. Getting angry with somebody, or somebody getting angry with us, we need coping mechanisms in place for that.
We do. Without the coping mechanisms, it's a trigger to go back to.
To go back to hell.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
That's it. Inevitably, yeah.
Yep.
So you're going to go back to.
You will find that people, you probably find people in daily life that will say something to you that you'll think to yourself, like you said, you keep an inventory. Say something to you, and you'll think, who do they think they are speaking to me like that?
Yeah.
But that is a trigger.
Absolutely.
And unless you recognise it straight away, and people who are in recovery that do it to other people, it's a trigger for them.
Yeah.
Resentment is a huge, huge, huge thing in our society. And I found that we, as a culture, will try and help each other.
Yeah.
But if somebody's trying to do something right by somebody, we fault find, we try and put them down. Even throughout your journey, for example, with your DJing and stuff, did people say to you after you'd come clean, oh, you don't drink anymore now? Or did they try and prod and poke you and jeopardise you and try and bring you down?
A lot of people. Which again, they're no longer in my life, because what this program and what this sobriety life teaches you is awareness. It opens your eyes of who is good for you and who is bad for you, and you've got to make that choice of walking away from that person for the rest of your life. They're still in your life in some kind of avenue or aspect because of family members or friends, but I totally have shut them people out of my life.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
There's no other way of doing it.
Yeah.
The reason I asked you that is because a lot of people say to me, as I mentioned earlier on, oh, you don't see us anymore. You never meet up. You don't do this. You've changed. I said, well, I've changed because I was a drinker before.
Yeah.
I was socialising. It didn't matter who you were, as long as there was a bottle on the table or there was drinks there, I would be with you.
You'd be there.
But now, I have to keep away.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I always say to some of my closest friends who I do occasionally go out on a social level with them, but I'm very, my clock is, I'm always clock watching. I want to get out of there.
Yeah.
I always say to them, well, what's the point of me sitting in a pub, because there's only a certain amount of Coke or juice one can drink.
And not
I could drink lager all night long, or top shelf, but You know, there's only so much of that fizzy stuff you could put inside your body and get bored as well of the conversations.
Yeah, because the conversation becomes repetitive to the same level.
Yeah, you know, and we was probably worse.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 2-point rule, especially with, like, you know, my loved ones, my nephews, and some very, very good friends. Like I say, it's not very often that I do go out like pubs or clubs with them. That I have a 2-point rule. After 2 points, they start talking repetitively. I'm out of there.
Exactly the same.
You know,
exactly the same.
because I can't be around that. You know, because it's a trigger, it's a risk factor. And they're understanding now. The early years of my sobriety, they was a bit annoyed, oh, you know, he's left, he's gone. But now they're very understanding, and, you know, they generally just don't ask me.
Yeah.
You know,
I generally, if I do go out, I mean, it is again, it'll be an award or something like that.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't sit at one table. I'll float around to different people, see who I've got to see,
yeah,
and generally, you know, leave, because again, the repetitiveness of it.
yeah,
Going back to your interview, you were at death's door,
yeah, literally.
and what went through your heart when you woke up in hospital and your father was sort of?
I was just scared. You know, my whole body was not just shaking from the fact that I was, you know, I'm coming off my drugs and my drink and I need a drink, but I didn't want to die. I was seeing my children. I was thinking, you know, they're too young to know that their dad is gone. And seeing my dad cry and, like, seeing him there in hospital, I just thought, I can't see that ever again. You know, no son wants to see that. No child wants to see his parent that broken as much as them. I mean, I was, because of my condition, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was probably one of the hardest moments of my life.
So that was your turning point where you thought,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That, you know, I'd admitted it in the previous weeks to my dad, that, you know, I had a problem.
Yeah.
Because he was obviously, I'd run out of everything, you know, money. So my dad was coming to feed my habit, basically. But that was the turning point. I needed to get something done to my physical body to stop that consumption of alcohol going in there.
How did that affect your relationship with the children at that time?
The children were, they didn't see me drinking excessively. I mean, no, I wouldn't say, it doesn't surprise me because of the way I am now with my children. Even when I'm out now, I tend not to take them to places like that. But, you know, I still recall moments coming home from a show. You know, I'd be drunk, but the children would be going to bed.
Yeah.
So they didn't really see Dad that much drunk. And then when they'd go to bed, I'd drink more.
Right.
And then now my daughter's like 17 now. Like a few years ago, when she was like in her teens, she said, "Dad, we didn't know you was an alcoholic. You was always the same to us." Which is, you know, a very positive thing in terms of I didn't have to build any relationships with my children. You know, with every other family member, and I kind of had to. I made amends, but that's.
Well, luckily, you didn't have to do that with the children.
No, I didn't know.
Unlike myself, I mean, I had to make amends with quite a few people. One of them being my daughter, and we're still making amends to this day, because she saw her father growing up. Well, she was growing up watching her father turning into something that she'd never dreamt of.
Yeah.
And it takes time, and she's going to be sort of, you know, she's going to be 20 this month. And it's very, very difficult to make amends with people who have lost so much trust.
Yeah.
You know, you've betrayed trust, you've behaved erratically at home, and it is a very, very difficult scenario.
Yeah, it is.
What I'd like to ask you to do, Ranjit, is, you know, we're coming to the end of the show. The numbers are on the screen. The email's on the screen. If you could put a message out there to people who are suffering in silence, what would it be?
Generally, just you're not alone. You know, Alcohol and Beyond, this program, Harvey, they're here to offer a service of to help people who are suffering with, it doesn't have to be alcohol, it can be drugs, that you know, that you can get clean. I mean, me and Harvey, just an example of what can be achieved in sobriety. The questions were there at the beginning, whether I could sustain this level of sobriety this many years by loved ones and friends and family, but working one day at a time, you can achieve, you know, your dreams can come true. My message will be simply just do not be in denial. Pick up the phone or email Harvey, email the channel, and you know, take that first step into having a better life for yourself and your loved ones.
Thank you very much for that. You heard the messages that have been given there just now by Ranjit. You are not alone. Pick up the phone or email with all your questions, whatever you need. Until next time, just remember, you're not alone. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.